Of all the sufferings on earth, one of the greatest forms of suffering is loneliness, which is typically unprovoked and undeserved and suffered involuntarily. It's not like people choose loneliness. They'll choose to be alone if they're comfortable with that, but then there's a limit to that. So when we cross that line into what we would acknowledge or admit to be loneliness, we don't choose that. Then we don't choose the depression that comes from that. We typically don't choose to be sad or depressed, but oftentimes it's an involuntary response to our existence, our circumstances, our situation, or our environment, or the people in it. Maybe we haven't achieved our dreams, we don't fulfill our potential, we have no sources of joy or love at work, we have no sources of fulfillment, or we have less sources of fulfillment. And therefore, coming to terms with that, being honest with ourselves and being truthful about our situation, we get depressed. To fight that depression, we have to live in some denial. We have to tell ourselves that things aren't as bad as we truthfully know they are. We have to affirm, we have to visualize, we have to goal set, we have to look forward. We have to have pleasures and distractions, and that's not easy. And when we're in the depths of that sadness, when we're dwelling, self-pitying maybe, but we're dwelling on losses. We're being monitored, surveilled, overseen by this creator who helped set this up. It leads to the question is God the enemy? Are we his enemy or her enemy? Is God flawed? And how could a God oversee this level and volume of distress and suffering for so many thousands of years? We're told that the God is there for us to alleviate the pain and suffering. And this can be true. Why would we go to the creator of the pain and suffering for the alleviation of that, for the relief from the pain and suffering that he or she has overseen and either intentionally or unintentionally created? Logic would tell you that one created the other. Did suffering create God? Maybe suffering created God. Maybe because humans are imperfect and cause each other suffering and in turn suffer themselves. For relief from that pain and suffering, we created a God. So maybe suffering created God to fill a psychological, emotional, spiritual need when we're feeling low. All humans are inherently flawed. All systems are inherently human. Therefore, all systems are inherently flawed, including religion, corporations, institutions, politics. And what's interesting is that people will say, well, communism has always failed because it's being run by the wrong people. It's been corrupted. But in its purest form, it would work. Well, yeah, if everybody was perfect, communism would work. Just like capitalism. Capitalism suffers a lot of abuses by greedy, corrupt individuals who exploit people for excess profit. So capitalism would work a lot better in its purest form when run by uncorrupt, perfect people. So, because God created imperfect humans who comprise imperfect systems, all of us suffer from the imperfections of ourselves and each other, and our forced existence or interaction within these systems in order to sustain ourselves. Therefore, suffering is not going anywhere. And therefore, because we need relief, neither is God.